We had reached a point where, that last year we took an entire audience to Australia. You are going to Australia! Yes. Okay? Yes. And then what we didn't realize is that 90% of the audience didn't have a passport. So the producers were out of their minds trying to get passports for the people in time for the show.
Somebody got to cue me, or do I cue myself?
Cue yourself.
Okay. Guys, this is big. I just want to make an announcement before we get into it. I'm wearing a brassiere today.
You are?
I am. I put on the bra.
She's wearing
I know
a bra.
you can't tell, but I'm just telling you. Look, you want to see it?
Oh, yes, you are.
It's a new bra.
You're wearing a bra for this interview. This has got to be important.
And you know who I credit for this booking? Moi. That's who. How
did you land this booking?
How did I land this booking? I took full advantage of my access via my frothy morning talk show. You know what words sealed the deal?
What?
Off camera.
Oh.
Yes.
And she said, "What do you mean off camera?" I said, "There's no cameras. We are completely off camera. We are an all sound podcast. People do their podcasts from their bedrooms, in the bathroom. I've had people in lounge chairs outside, people picking up their kids from school." And she goes, "I would do that podcast." And I go, "Great, I'm going to have Jan call you."
Literally, as soon as Oprah left the set, everyone's like, "Jan, Kelly wants you."
Yep.
It is a major booking.
Guess what, listeners? She's here today.
Yes.
That's right. Jan said it. Oprah Winfrey.
Woo!
What? Oprah Winfrey is on this here podcast today.
It's pretty big.
Do you think I could call her O-Dubs?
Oh, Dubs. I like it. What people call her? Her inner circle. What do they call her?
I happen to know. I can't reveal it, but I know how she is listed in the phone contacts in Tyler Perry's phone.
And you're not going to reveal it?
I can't reveal it because I don't want to, that just seems, I was, remember when he called her on the show when he was co-hosting with me? I peeked and I saw the name that popped up and it was delicious. But I would never reveal that because even though I was peeking at his phone, I would never reveal it. But it was very exciting.
If you had to guess what her favorite curse word is, what would you think it is?
Oprah's favorite curse word. She probably doesn't curse.
I know she doesn't, but she does with Gayle. She probably,
you think she curses with Gayle?
They must.
You think? I'm going to ask her. I'm going to say, Oprah.
What's your favorite curse word?
What's your favorite curse word?
Yeah.
Do you cuss? She's going to say no. And I'm going to say, when you and Gayle used to take your road trips, when the cameras weren't rolling, what words
What words came out? Are you going to ask her if she would have liked the furry chicken?
I'm going to send her a furry chicken as a thank you.
I just re-listened to that when you were talking to Coleman about it.
Coleman Domingo? Yeah. I wonder if he ever executed that plan. That's a good plan.
I was talking to my boys about her being on, and it's funny because they don't know.
They don't know the backstory.
They don't know the backstory. It's amazing to me. They don't know any of that. And it's
I know.
Yeah.
She went through hell.
Yeah, I know.
And so I know you know.
She was so smart because she got ownership of her intellectual property. She took ownership of that show. She bought the rights to herself.
I think she's still in New York because she was here for the Tonys.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
We think she's at a nearby hotel.
We're hoping.
We do?
Yeah. What if we take the mics and go over there?
We think we're looking at your hotel.
Sounds like she might be on in a minute. Just giving you a heads up.
Okay.
Keep cool.
Don't panic. Everybody stop panicking. Oprah's going to think this is my house.
It is your house.
I mean, it is my house, but I have nothing to do with this room.
Right.
Look at the
You
scary
want to blur
monster.
your background?
Huh? No.
Okay. I can.
It's better she sees how other talk show hosts live. Maybe she'll start a foundation. I can hear.
Ah, there they are.
Hair done. Where are you
Off
going?
camera.
Where's Oprah going?
Get my hair done over here. Hey.
Hi. We just did an entire intro to you.
And
It was amazing. It was amazing. But everybody in this room is freaked out. We cannot believe this is happening.
Oh my gosh.
So we have lots of questions. So I'm just going to dive right in because I know your time is limited. You look gorgeous. What are you getting ready for?
Oh, I have a dinner this evening I'm going to. Okay.
Who are you dining with?
Amy Griffin.
Okay.
At her house.
Okay.
Okay. Excuse me.
So is it a formal dinner?
Oh, it's not even formal, but I was out shopping and my hair it's so humid outside that my hair just went shoop.
Your
down.
hair looks great. You look gorgeous, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Oh, I look like a monster, but this is an off-camera podcast, so your beauty is kind of like wasted. It doesn't even matter. Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
Let me just start by saying it was 25 years. You hit the 25-year mark. So after you step away from 25 years of your iconic talk show, the Oprah Winfrey Show, which we were regaling each other with stories about which episodes of your show changed our lives or influenced our lives in unique ways. And Albert learned how to meditate because you were with Deepak Chopra, but it wasn't Deepak that drew him in. It was you that drew him in.
Those 21-day meditation programs.
Oh, the 21-day meditations, Albert, I did with Deepak. You know, when I think about that show, when I said at the end of that show that this show has been the love of my life, that remains so true. And I think of it always with a sense of reverence because of the audience. You know this every day, the connection to the audience. And I think about all the lives that were touched and changed by that show. And I'm reminded of it every single day if I'm out of my house. If I leave the house, there is not a time I've ever left the house that somebody doesn't stop me and say, I watched with my mom, I watched with my grandmom, I grew up with you. I mean, just, I was out on the street today and this woman's like, oh my gosh, I have loved you my whole life. And
that was me.
So I usually stop and say, so tell me what it was. Tell me what it is that moved you so. And so I'd be curious for you. What was the thing?
Oh my gosh, there were two. I mean, for me, it was really just it was appointment television. What I liked about you always, and what I have taken from you and implemented into my own talk show hosting, and I've said this before, you were always very tactile with your audience members. You're very tactile. And you touch them and you studied them and you embrace them. And that is something that I often rely on because sometimes people become overwhelmed in a moment or they become like, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily apply this to myself. I wouldn't say starstruck, but they become flummoxed.
Yes, the word is flummoxed, and it's not starstruck. It's just like
they're just flummoxed.
They say, you know what? It's that moment they suddenly realize I am on television and I'm talking about myself. Right. Particularly people who are not accustomed to doing it. Right. And yes, I would say that being able to steady the person in the chair. And, I've said this, I actually used this in a speech at graduation at Harvard many years ago, is that the common denominator I always heard and received was that okay? In one form or another, people would say that after every show. Even if they didn't say the words, they would look at me like, was that all right?
Even celebrities.
Major.
Movie stars are like, was that okay?
Movie stars and presidents of countries would say the same thing. Is that all right? That's okay. And so that to me was the common thread of understanding that everybody that sits in that seat opposite you is looking for the same thing. They want to know that what they said mattered and that they were heard and that it was felt and that it was okay. And that is also a metaphor for life. That's what your children want. That's what Mark wants. That's what all of your encounters with everybody. Every argument is about, do you hear me? Are you hearing me?
Correct.
And is what I'm saying meaning anything to you?
Well, I hear half of what Mark says, but I still think that, we've been married a long time, so that's more of a survival tactic. I've been at the talk show now for 25 years, so I'm asking for a friend. How did you know it was time to step away?
First of all, it's not time for you to step away. And if I were advising you, I would say absolutely not. Because you and Mark are in a groove, and that groove continues to work. And
we have fun.
You have fun, and it's easy, and it's light enough and serious enough when it needs to be. And it's not a grind.
Right.
And as much as I loved being on a part of the show every day, and as much as I loved the audience, I'm telling you, the nature of what we were doing every day became just so hard.
Well, you were dealing in very serious topics a lot of the time.
You're doing cancer patients and people who've divorced, and every major dysfunction in the world we have discussed. And every year we were, I pulled myself out of the Emmys, I think, after the first 8 or 9 years.
Of winning. I have to point that out.
Of winning.
She ran out of shelf space, Albert.
Just because, every time we would come to New York for the Emmys, the producers would be like overwhelmed when we lost. And I just thought, not even worth that, because you're doing the best work possible.
Right.
You're putting out the effort to do good things, to be a force for good in the world. And it's not going to be measured by an award at the end of the year. It's measured in every viewer response. It's measured, as Maya and I now, I've said many times, your legacy is every life you touch. So it's measured in all the lives that are being affected by what you're doing and saying. So I have to say that I still hold in reverence all the opportunities we had to reach into people's lives and be there for them in ways that mattered. And you are right when you say, Kelly, it was appointment television at a time when that was a real thing.
I mean, I remember I had a part-time job after school, and what I would do is I would rush home, and while I was changing into my outfit for my part-time job, I would turn on your show, and I knew that I had like 45 minutes of viewing. I could watch 45 minutes and only be like 8 minutes late to work. And they just got sort of used to me being late for work. And then they would say, "Why are you late?" And I would say, "Oprah had on," and I would just sort of lead with Oprah. But what do you think it is? Because so few people, I think every year there's another dozen talk shows that are launched. So few people are able to break through. And you broke through at a time when it seemed almost impossible to break through. It was all soap operas. It was all game shows. It was not, there was, a couple, Phil Donahue and you.
At the time that when I first came to Chicago, my boss at the time, Dennis Swanson, said, "Listen, we know there's no way you're ever going to beat Phil Donahue, so just go on the air and be yourself." Thank goodness he didn't say, "We have brought you here to local Chicago, AM Chicago, to beat Phil Donahue," because I wouldn't have known how do you do that? Because Phil Donahue was the king. He was the word. He was the beginning and the alpha and the omega in talk shows. So I didn't have any expectation for beating him, but the first time we went on the air, we did. So that was a surprise. And I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever that means. And then the first, when rating sweeps were always in February or November or May. So that first February sweeps, we also beat him. And then people started to talk about, whoa, what is going on in Chicago? And because it never was a goal of mine to beat him or anybody, but just to every day go on the air and be as much of myself as I could be, I was never bothered by it or never had any kind of expectation that I had to live up to anything. Because if I had had that as an expectation, I hear a lot of people now talk about imposter syndrome. I would have felt like an imposter trying to be like Phil Donahue instead of being able to be myself.
That makes so much sense to me. Every year when they launch the new talk shows, everybody is the next Oprah, or they fashion themselves after being the next Oprah. And I always say to myself, there will only ever be one Oprah, but you should be the best version of whoever you are. You should bring the most authentic parts of yourself
to whatever it is you're doing. Well, I feel that too. I feel like there will never be another Kelly. There can't be, because you bring to that space everything that's ever happened to you. You're not just sitting up there chitty-chatting. You bring everything that's ever happened to you. And that part of your personality that relates and connects in a way that only you can. So I remember when around the 20th year, I had one of my attorneys who was helping me run the company said, we need to figure out what are we going to do to find the next Oprah. We need to figure out how we're going to create the next Oprah. And I said, well, we didn't even figure out how to create this one. So I think this is going to be really hard. I now look at the talk shows that are on now, and every era has its own person. But what is remarkable is that you have remained fresh and continue to refresh no matter who you're with. And I actually think I like you and Mark together.
It's like an old married couple. And it's because for many, many years, when I was working at All My Children, they would just leave the ABC shows on. So I would see Regis and Kathy Lee. And for many years, I thought they were married. I had no idea they weren't married.
That they were not married.
That they were not married. And then one day Joy came on and I was like, who is this woman that looks like kind of looks like Regis's wife, but not really?
Yeah.
And then everybody said, no, that's his wife. That's his actual wife. And my mind was blown. So what do you say? Because Jan was telling me this fascinating thing. She's got two young sons. They're young adults. And they only know you as Oprah Winfrey, the billionaire. What do you say to the generation of people that think that you were born Oprah Winfrey, the billionaire?
I remember the day my financial person called and said, well, you hit the big B.
Right.
And
were you trying to figure out what that meant?
I'm honest to goodness, I had never thought about it. It had never occurred to me. It wasn't like a goal I was trying to reach. Like now, that's all people talk about.
Yeah.
And so I said, what does that mean? The big B, because I'm one of those people who I attend every financial meeting, but half the time I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Don't you zone out? It's like a zone out session.
But you have to show up and ask a question so that they know you're interested.
Correct.
Okay. So when I was told that, I was like, whoa, okay, that sounds like a lot. And do you know?
Did you buy something? Like, did you immediately buy something?
No, I did not. I remember going shopping when I first recognized I was a millionaire, and I mean like mini millionaire. And I remember being in a Tiffany store on Chicago Avenue, and one of my producers was with me, and I was in the store looking at plates, and I was like, wow, look at these plates. These are so amazing. And I was like holding up one pattern versus another. And she said to me, I said, I don't even know which one to get. And she said, can't you get both? And it was the first time it had occurred. I went, oh yeah, I could get both.
Of course you can.
Of course I can. But when I first started to make enough money, y'all, just to, because I'd come from Baltimore, where I was always loaning money to my family and, sending out. When I first started, I would pay the electric. This is when you had to actually write checks and send money out and pay the electric bill. And I wouldn't sign it because I know that it would take a week to come back, and then they'd say for you to sign it. Yeah. You can only do that trick a couple of times.
Right.
But if you were low on rent,
it extends. Yes, I know these tricks. I know them very well.
So I had all those little tricks. So when I used to go in the Ralph Lauren store on Michigan Avenue, and I used to walk through the home section and look at all the towels, and I'd be like, wow, one day I'm going to get bath sheets. One day I'm going to get bath sheets. And so when I first started to make enough money that I could actually pay the rent at the end of the month and have something left over, the first big thing I got was bath sheets. And my very first interview with Barbara Walters, when she said, "What is it that you like to spend?" I said, "Barbara, would you like to see my towels?" I did.
What did she say? Did she go to look at your towels?
Yeah, and she did. And she was like, "Oh, now I know." She was like, "Oh, lovely. Yeah. I know. No, see how they're folded like the department store?"
Right.
Yeah. But, that means so much to somebody like me who grew up with an outhouse, okay?
Yeah, no, I understand.
I grew up with an outhouse with a grandmother. So for the kids who, think I was, when you just said that, I went, "Oh, really? That never occurred to me, that people just think that I was born with money?" No. Grew up with no running water, no electricity, to the point where when I used to go to speak in schools, like 4th and 5th graders would say, "Do you know Abraham Lincoln?" Because my story sounds like I grew up in the days of Abraham Lincoln. So I never had like an imposter syndrome about it, because I have worked since I was 16 in my father's store, and then moving into radio, and then moving into television, the reason why I have such a great appreciation for what I have, y'all, is because I have earned every salary. I worked for my father in the store for 3 years for nothing. Mm-hmm. I worked then, my first job, I remember making $100 a week and thinking, "Oh, this is it, $100 a week." And then when I was 22, I was making $22,000. That's when I met Gayle King in Baltimore. And Gayle said, "Can you imagine if you're 30 and you're making $30,000, then you're 40 and you're making $40,000. So I have come up the ranks of every salary. Right. So by the time I got to the point where I could call myself a millionaire, not something I never expected, even though my father, I will tell you this, that my father, in his last dying days, like 2 days before he passed, he and I were sitting on the porch, and he said, "Is it true what they say about you, that you were a billionaire?" And I said, "Yes, that's true." And he said, "Never thought it. Now, when you were a little girl, you used to always talk about you were going to be a millionaire and live in a house on a hill." That's what my father said to me. And I remember telling him, "Once I'm a millionaire, I'm going to buy you a house," which I did. And I ended up living in a house on a hill. So that vision that I had for myself as a kid did not extend to the bounty and abundance that I have been able to earn for myself in this lifetime. But my father, recognizing that it's something that I had dreamed about since a little girl in his dying days, but also not even understanding, he didn't understand the B word either, He didn't.
When you became a billionaire, I cried tears of happiness for you, because I was.
Did you?
I was so familiar with your story. Yeah. And I know that you earned everything, and it wasn't easy, and nobody handed you anything. And I was very moved for you. I just felt like, now here's a girl who was given nothing and really made her own way in a landscape that's often hostile to women, very hostile to women.
And the reason, this is what I know for sure, that the decision I made to own myself. So when my attorney, Jeff Jacobs, came to me and said, "Do you want to own the show?" I go, "What does that mean?" It means you're going to have to take less money now, but if the show really takes off, then you will have half of it. Mm-hmm. You will earn the same thing as the syndicator earns. And I was like, okay, I bet on myself for that. Mm-hmm. And that is what made all the difference. I believed that the show would work as a national show because it had already worked in Chicago. And by that time, I had a real connection and understanding to the audiences who were coming every day. And I knew that people at the heart and core of ourselves, whether you're in Indiana, whether you're in Massachusetts, whether you're in Tennessee, whether you're in Chicago, LA, New York, that the heart of us is the same. Mm-hmm. We all want the same things. Yeah. I now can better articulate what that thing is, having spent hours and hours and hours listening to people. And what I know is that what we all are striving for is to be able to be true to ourselves and live up to the values that we hold for ourselves, and to be able to have the fullest expression of ourselves as human beings. You want that. I want that. Everybody listening to us, that's what you want. You want to be able to have the fullest, purest expression of yourself as a human being and not have to pretend to be anything other than who you really are.
If you didn't go into broadcast television, is there one thing, a career, a job, like one other thing that you're like, I bet you my talents could have been, I don't know, name it, X? If you didn't go into broadcast television, is there one thing, a career, a job, like one other thing that you're like, I bet you my talents could have been, I don't know, name it, X?
I had a wonderful conversation with Sidney Poitier once. Sidney Poitier, who was my role model and idol and all that. And I ended up having people who had been my role models as a kid as friends in my life. I mean, that's one of the great gifts I've been given. And so I love Sidney Poitier since I saw him at 10 years old, and he won the Oscar for Lilies of the Fields. And I couldn't imagine that I would ever meet him, not to mention be able to consider him as a friend. But anyway, we became friends. My 42nd birthday, Quincy Jones, who discovered me for The Color Purple, had a birthday party for me and invited Sidney Poitier. And I'm telling you, I walked down the stairs. I'm going to start crying now. I walked down the stairs and I saw him at the bottom. I turned and he was at the bottom of the stairs. And he said, "My dear, I have been longing to meet you, my dear." And I just burst into tears. And I told him the story of being the 10-year-old watching me. And he said, "I have been longing to meet you." And from that day forward, we became really good friends. He came on the Oprah show and I interviewed him. I've never been more nervous. I've never felt more like a schlump adinka. I've never felt, and after he left, Kelly, I went into the control room and I bawled. Yeah. I just bawled into a towel. I just was like, I never asked. I didn't have one coherent question. I don't remember a thing I said. I was so nervous. I was so out of my body. I don't know what happened. And he called me the next day and said, "My dear, I would love the chance to sit down and talk to you because I did not feel completely myself. I did not feel that I gave you what you needed." And I'm like, "Oh, no. It was I was the one." Can you imagine?
No, I can't. I would have passed out at the first, my dear, at the birthday party.
The first time, yes. Okay. So Sidney Poitier said to me after we became great friends, he said, "It wouldn't matter if you were doing a talk show or if you were the village cobbler in 1879 and people were coming to your store to get their shoes." He said people would be lined up outside your store coming for shoes, but really coming for the conversation and the community. No matter what you were doing, you would be...
You're still going to be that thing. That
you would be the person who would be gathering people together in conversation. And so I as he said that, it resonated so deeply with me. I thought, you're right. I always thought I was going to be a fourth grade teacher because of my Mrs. Duncan was such a powerful influence in my belief in myself. I mean, the fourth grade is when I came into myself because Mrs. Duncan really saw me. That's why I love teachers so much, because of what I was given by my teachers. And I always had thought before I got into radio at 16 that the thing I was going to do with my life was be the best fourth grade teacher anybody had ever seen. And I thought, I'm going to win all the teacher awards because all the students are going to say, that's the best fourth grade teacher. So I ended up having a platform that became a teaching, an empowering and enlightening platform.
That's what I was going to say. You literally taught millions and millions and millions and millions of people every day. And still do.
And still do. I think the podcast does that in its own way. But I think, listen, I know, this is why I'm telling you, don't let go of the platform that you have. Yeah. Do not do it. Don't even consider it. Because I feel that the reach that you have, the audience that you've built, the family that you've created, both inside the studio and in the rest of the world, is really more vital and important now than ever before.
I agree with you. I often think, like, in my fantasy world, the Oprah Winfrey show comes back on the air, right? Because I feel like if somebody could get us through the dark times that we currently seem to be stuck in, it would be you sort of guiding us. But I do know that what you are saying about our show happens to be true, because if you spend any time in hospitals with people, and I have several family members who are going through things, and so I've been in hospitals a lot lately. And when you host a talk show or talk show like ours, where we don't really cover heavy topics, it is appointment viewing in all of those chemotherapy labs and all of those rooms where people receive their treatments, because it's not anxiety inducing. And so I have to remember, when I'm thinking, is it time? I have to remember that there are certain people that I will never know who count on me right now, who are counting on me. And counting on
through
the show.
Appointment television are counting on you right now. Yes,
that's right.
But I don't miss the show. You and Mark asked me this when I was there. I don't miss the show. I miss the connection to the audience. I miss the everyday conversation. I miss the conversations afterwards, because I'm just telling you, we had reached a point where, that last year we took an entire audience to Australia. You are going to Australia! Okay. Yes. And then what we didn't realize is that 90% of the audience didn't have a passport. Right. So the producers were like out of their minds trying to get passports for the people in time for the show in Australia. And I remember going into a meeting and someone saying, well, I think what we should do is try to get people on a spaceship, or we should be able to take an audience or some audience members up on a spaceship. And we're always trying to outdo ourselves. Yeah. And I was like, it is time to bring it down. I
would go to space. I would go to space. Like when I saw Gayle go up there, I was like, and I was watching. It was so funny because I was watching.
Not me.
You. I know. I noticed you were.
You're going to send an audience to space. I will not be there. After Gayle's trip and into space, I became I would never do it, but I became very interested in the whole process. So for days afterwards, I would just put myself to sleep at night looking at the space station traveling around the globe, like making multiple trips. And then every 42 minutes or 37 minutes, I can't remember what it was, you get another sunrise. And it's like 16, 17 times a day.
It's incredible.
And so it really changed the way I looked at the world and what happens when I look up at the sky at night watching Gayle do it. And I was so happy and proud for her, also relieved, because if she'd asked one more time, what should I do? Do you think I should go? From the beginning, I was like, you should do it because you want to do it.
You'll regret it if you don't do it.
You will regret it. And what you don't want is living with the regret. I said, and don't let Katy Perry come down and say it was really great fun. You're going to be then really saying, I should have done it. The minute somebody says, oh my God, like a life-changing experience, you're going to go, oh, I should have done it. So I don't have that. So I was just so proud to be there for her.
But you don't have FOMO. You never suffer from FOMO?
Never. Yeah. Not for anything do I have FOMO. because I'm such a stay-at-home body. You know, my favorite place to be is at home with my dogs.
Which home? Give me the number one Oprah Winfrey favorite home spot.
It's Santa Barbara. It's definitely Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And it's being in front of, and I can be anywhere. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if it's sleeting. I don't care if it's fog, if it's June gloom, if you can't see out. I never, ever, ever complain about any kind of weather because you're alive to see it. So take that. That's what it is. Nothing you can do about it.
That's how I'm going to start looking at the New York weather. I'm alive to see it. That's how I'm going to start looking at it.
I'm alive to see it. And my favorite day is it's misty outside. I have a fireplace going, whether that's summer or winter or whatever. And, being there by myself or not with the dog. I now only have one dog, Sadie.
Oh my gosh. Sadie. I never understood, because when I had 3 young kids and they were begging for a dog, everybody was like, oh, the dog's like your 4th child. The dog's like your 4th child. Dog is not like your 4th child. Dog is so much better than your child. Dog does not give you bullshit the way children do.
Yeah.
They are just constant sources of affection and love and companionship, and they're very steadfast.
I'm preparing myself. I mean, Sadie's in great health. Sadie is 16 and a half. Let me just say, she still looks like she could pass for 10 or 12. Yeah. And the moment you say how old the dog is, people go, oh. Yeah. So I remember being at the Bel Air Hotel once, and I was sitting next to a woman, and I said, oh, such a cute dog. Actually, somebody wrote a book about this dog called Happy at the Bel Air. And I said to her, how old's the dog? And she said, 7. And later she came to me and said, Oprah, I didn't want to lie to you, but he's really 10. But I didn't want to say that because he couldn't get work in this town without her dog. No. I'm not kidding. No. Now I understand, though, because the moment you go into double digits, people start that, So Sadie's 16 and a half. She's lived longer than any dog. I've had 21. She's lived longer than any dog I've ever had. And so I know it's coming. And, it can happen like that. Yeah. They're perfectly fine. And then one day something shows up. My last golden retriever, Luke, we got a diagnosis for cancer on a Tuesday. They said, you have 2 months, maybe. And by Friday, he was gone. So I've been through it so many times.
We lost our dog, Chewy, a couple of months ago, and she was 18 years old. I can honestly tell you that Mark and I, we've been very fortunate. Let me start by saying we haven't had a lot of loss in our lives. We've been very fortunate. So we understand that. But losing our dog was the hardest thing we've ever had to do, because we had to put her down, and it was awful. I begged the vet. I said to her, because she came to the house, and I said, can you put me down too? And she said, you'd be amazed at how many people ask that of me.
Yeah. Because
it was just crushing. It was really crushing.
I think it's one of the most crushing things I've ever been through. And although I've been through it multiple times. And it's so interesting because I grew up and my father didn't allow me to have a dog in the house. And when I first moved to Baltimore, Gayle was working in Baltimore. I was the anchor woman, and Gayle was a production assistant. And one day she didn't come into work, and I said, "What happened?" And she said, "Our dog died." And I was like, "Your dog died?" I never heard of somebody not coming to work because their dog died. Right. And now I understand. I mean, I would not come to work. I would take off, and except when Sophie died, I did. I showed up the next day. But it's one of the most devastating losses, I think, particularly the first time it happens.
Yeah.
Particularly the first time it happens, because they're family members. They are family members, and only people who have had pets understand that it is a family member, and I understand it if you don't, that you don't get it. So that's okay. And don't you see Chewy
everywhere in clouds? I see her in clouds. I see her everywhere I go.
Yeah. We had Sophie and Solomon for many years, for 13 and 14 years during the Oprah show. And like a week after Sophie died, Stedman came home and he was just standing in the hallway crying. And I said, what just happened? What just happened? And he said, Sophie always came down the stairs right here. Mm-hmm. And so you see them in spaces. Mm-hmm. You know, you see where they used to chew on their ball. You see where they used to throw the ball. I said, and then I'd turn a corner where I used to throw the ball and I'd be hit all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. It's just like any other family member dying. I mean, it comes to you in waves, you know.
Yeah.
It took me a year and a half to get over Sophie. I was really, really, really shaken by that.
Yeah, I really get it. Are you going to get another dog?
I think I am going to get another dog, and I'm probably going to try a completely different breed. I'm thinking about a Burma Doodle. Let me
recommend a Shih Tzu. I'm going to tell you
do?
Why. Yes. These dogs are little love balls. They don't shed. They don't shed at all. They're really surprisingly low maintenance. The only problem with a Shih Tzu is a lot of them have like eating. I don't want to say eating disorders, but we had one Shih Tzu, Chewy, who passed away, who would eat anything and everything. Literally candle wax. If she thought the candle wax smelled.
Would Chewy eat his own poo?
No, she wouldn't eat her own poo, but she would jump onto the dining room table at Thanksgiving and ate the turkey while we were all like saying hello to, people in the hallway. And she was there standing on the dining room table.
Oh my goodness.
Whereas Lena, the little one, she doesn't eat anything. And I have seen Mark Consuelos spoon feeding this dog Greek yogurt in the morning.
He's a big convert. Mark.
He's a big convert. He said, do not bring that dog into this house. We already have a dog. We don't need two dogs. You're not bringing that dog in.
I think you do need two dogs. I actually do think you need two dogs.
Yeah.
I think for people who are not at home all day, it's very sad for the dog to be alone all day. So
Agreed.
I think having two dogs is fine. I mean, I've had 11 dogs at one time, but I also had a farm in Indiana to put all the dogs. But, the most I've had at home in Santa Barbara at one time is 5. And I've had all 5 in the bedroom at night. And
those dogs must be like, can you look at us?
Can you believe
they go to the dog
life?
Park and they're like, Oprah's my mom. Who's your mom?
We don't have to lie about our age.
We don't have to, right. Do you have chickens in Montecito?
I do not have chickens in Montecito. My neighbor has chickens in Montecito right across the fence, so I get
your eggs.
Eggs from a neighbor.
And then do you do like a trade? Because I know you've got that vegetable garden. Do you go over
and
there?
I sometimes take over avocados, or I take over lemons, or I take over tomatoes, or I take over.
So my gift would have been a bad gift.
I don't know, maybe
not. What was your gift?
So we interviewed Coleman Domingo, and he was telling us like incredible Oprah Winfrey stories about how his mom used to send you like fan letters and all of this.
Yes.
He wound up like walking with you at your home in Montecito
and telling me that his mom had written me letters for years saying, you should know my son. Mm-hmm. You should help my son.
Yes.
Like he's someone, Coleman Domingo.
Writing it into the universe. But so I said, what did you bring Oprah as a hostess gift? And I think he brought you, what was books?
His manuscript.
Yes, his manuscript.
His manuscript.
Yes, right.
Yes.
And I said, that's not what I would have gotten for Oprah. And he goes, what would you have gotten for Oprah? I said, well, she's in Montecito, so she probably has a chicken coop. I would have gotten her fuzzy chickens. You know, the chickens with the little fuzzy feet?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those chickens?
Yes, I have.
Would you have liked that gift? I would have gotten her fuzzy chickens. You know, the chickens with the little fuzzy feet?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those chickens?
Yes, I have.
Would you have liked that gift?
Not particularly.
Settled right here.
Damn it.
I would have just said, oh.
I
Thank you so much.
said with complete confidence to Coleman Domingo, Sweet
she would have
confidence.
bought the fuzzy chickens, and I would have gone, oh. You know what I would have done? I would have taken them over. You know, as chickens is the Sussexes.
Yeah, right.
They have them. So I would have taken the Sussexes. The
You
fuzzy
mean,
chicken.
wait,
Oh,
you
let
mean
me tell
my
you the
gift
story.
would have been...
Nobody knows the story. Guys, nobody knows the story.
okay.
So I get a call from Prince Harry, on Easter Saturday. And he says, oh, sorry to bother you, but we have a duck problem here. Some baby ducks, a duck had come into their yard and had laid the eggs and had these ducks, like 8 other chicks. And he says, you know, our pond is a stream. We don't have a pond. So can we bring the ducks over to your pond? And I said, sure. But could you wait? Because Gayle's grandkids were there. Kirby was there with her family. I said, wait until I can get the kids down to the pond to come to see you put the ducks in the pond. Yeah. So he goes, no, we're coming right away. We're coming over. Okay. So we have the kids all waiting for the ducks to come to the pond. Harry pulls up and I say, no, the pond is that way. He opens the door. He goes, what? Which way? I go, pond is that way. And as he opens the door, the mama duck flies out. And he's got all the baby ducks in a box. So he goes, oh no, the mama duck has flown away. Then we're chasing the mama duck who's in the front yard and has flown to the other side. We've got her ducks. Harry's running after, Meghan gets out, she's running after, chasing the mom and trying to get the mom to come back with her ducks. And for like a half an hour, we're running around with the ducks in the box and we're all, and we have video. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
They're just like us. I mean,
Meanwhile,
I would have been like,
the kids are down there going, where are the ducks? Where are the ducks?
The kids just want to see the ducks. Listen, those ducks also hit the jackpot. They're like, wait a minute. We show up at Prince Harry's house and now we're at Oprah's? Excuse me.
We're in Oprah's pond.
Yeah, that duck knew what it was doing when it laid its eggs.
And your furry chicken would have had a nice home.
Your furry chicken would have had
and
a
my
nice home.
fairy chicken would have been rehomed. A royal regift. I love it. So before we let you go, we need to talk about your podcast, the Oprah Podcast. You know what? We made a mistake. We should have named this podcast the Oprah Podcast. That would have been a way bigger sell.
Well, the Oprah Podcast, I love doing it. It started because I was doing the Oprah Book Club, and we were going to put the book club on, sponsored by Starbucks. We're going to put that on YouTube. And when we talked to the team at YouTube, they said, well, you know, if you're going to do a book club once a month, you're not going to have any viewers because you need, you know,
engagement,
a regular continuity in order to get people to show up. And so I said, okay, well, I've been thinking about this idea of having important conversations about, you know, relationships, about money and kids and social media and anxiety and all of those things. And so not hard for me to have a conversation. And that's how it started. And it's now blossomed into something that I actually look forward to doing. And I love it because it's comfortable for me and meaningful for me, but also doesn't feel like a grind.
Gotta go to work.
Gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm doing it right in my own backyard, literally.
Yeah.
Dorothy.
That's the best part about a podcast.
Yes.
Is that you can. This is my son's former bedroom. I don't know if you can tell from all the weird shit he has in here, but this is his former bedroom. And
you're just now using his bedroom.
You know, it's so funny. I kept thinking I would transform it into a proper studio, but I like him knowing that we've sort of kept it his bedroom, even though he's 28 years old, and I should probably actually.
And it's the same.
It's exactly the same as when he was in high school and lived here.
Wow, I think that's cool.
So, is there a person that has been on your podcast that absolutely left you gobsmacked?
Well, I tell you, it's always never like a celebrity. It's always these stories. Most recently, we were talking about it when I was on with you and Mark about these near-death experiences and having people talk about what it was like going to the other side. I always love personal stories that are meaningful and relate to people in a way that they feel connected or they feel like they got their own aha moment. And so I love having, Melody Hobson on talking to Gen Zers about money, because so many are, struggling with what it means and not being able to believe that they're going to be able to fulfill the same life and lifestyle that they've seen their parents. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated Jacinda Ardern recently coming on talking about a different kind of power. I thought she was really, really exactly what I had imagined her to be. She's one of the women that I've admired, when the way she handled that whole, tragedy in New Zealand.
And truly changed gun laws instantly.
In like 10 days.
So
in
simple.
10 days, they turned it around.
There's something about women leadership in countries that should be studied and learned.
I agree. So having the opportunity to do that is still meaningful to me. But I would say to you, again, don't give up the platform. Don't give it up. Okay. Don't give it up. This is our gift. Our gift is being able to connect and communicate in a way that people can also feel the essence of our personalities. This is what we do, girl.
Yeah, no. Well, you set the benchmark, and you're not just a good conversationalist, you're a great listener, which,
thank you,
as you know, is the key.
Yes.
People, like you said, and
it's the thing that creates connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny, when Mark turned 40, we threw him a birthday party, and we made a video where friends talk about, we call him Daddy. What makes Daddy cool, right? And Andy Cohen said the funniest thing. He goes, Daddy listens to me, and we all just want to be listened to, Oprah says. And it's just so funny in this now very vintage, in the very vintage video. It's so funny to hear him go, we all just want to be listened to, Oprah says.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for doing this podcast. And we really, really appreciate everything you've given to all of us.
I just love just being able to talk. Let's talk.
Listen. Anytime you want to do this podcast, you have a place, and
in your son's bedroom.
In our son's bedroom, which is, by the way, look, I can probably look at your hotel room. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That's how close I am to you.
Should have brought the mics over.
Yep. It's the Oprah Podcast, everybody. Oprah Winfrey. Thank you so much for being here.
Kelly. Thanks, Kelly.
Have fun tonight.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye. What do you think?
I still don't know her curse word. I got
nervous. I know. I got nervous too.
I got nervous.
She
I wrote it and then I got nervous.
First of all, she's so pretty. She's so elegant. I was like, there's elegant things happening there. I can't open with, you ever say the C word?
But I love that she wouldn't like your furry chicken.
She would hate furry chicken.
She would have regifted it.
to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That was exciting.
That was amazing.
Albert, you got it. This is a very special Oprah episode, so you have to. We are freaking out.
She gave the whole Australia. That was amazing.
Do it as Oprah. Do it as
Well,
Oprah.
that's it. Can't wait to talk to all of you off camera next week. Bye, everybody.
Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa is a production of Melojo Productions. From Melojo, our team is Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, Albert Bianchini, Jan Chalet, Seth Bronquist, Ross Therian, Devin Schneider, Michael Halprin, Julia Desch, and Team Radio Andy, Lisa Mantaneo, Scott Marlowe, Jake Getz.